Hello.
Good evening.
Welcome to Testimony Tuesday. We are so excited to joining us on today. Hello, hello.
As always. Like, take a share.
Yes. So we ask on tonight that you like, tag, share, um, as we tell someone of the goodness of the Lord. So if you are watching on tonight, I can never see who is watching unless you leave a comment. It's so sad.
Good evening, Mr. Ward.
Hey, Pastor Deacon Victor Ward. I'm calling you Pastor Ward.
Same thing.
Same thing. Okay. Hello, hello. Welcome each one of you. Thank you all for tuning in on today. We are super excited to have another special guest.
Two
special guests. That's right. Joining us on today. And so we're going to start off by saying first, this is the Thanksgiving holiday is here. I am officially on Thanksgiving break. I'm so happy. I don't know what to do. But this is the time that we always should tell God thank you for everything.
Absolutely.
But it's the season of showing and telling God thank you for all that he has done and is doing. Hello. Welcome. Thank you for joining us on today. Like, tag, and share.
Yes.
But it's just the time that we set aside to tell God thank you. And as I look back over our life, we have so much to thank God for.
You can't tell it all.
You cannot.
Just can't tell it all.
He's truly been so good to us.
Yeah.
And we are just so grateful. So please take this time, not just to eat the turkey, the creator of all things. Thank you.
Yes.
Because God is just that good.
Yes, he is.
Yeah. So I think it's in this season, but it is hard for so many because this is a season where if you have lost throughout the year, this is a hard time.
Yeah.
And so this may be your first holiday without your loved one. Please know that we are praying for you. There are so many that have lost parents, spouses, children, friends.
Yeah.
We're praying for you this season because I think back to the first holiday that we had to experience after the loss of the children was Thanksgiving.
Yep, right before Thanksgiving.
And it was, and I say the first major holiday and Veterans Day is major too, but where family is involved and family comes together, it was Thanksgiving. And it was extremely different. Mm-hmm. And it was hard. It was hard because you tried to be okay when you really weren't okay. And just
it was just, I don't know, just trying to adjust to that new norm.
It was hard.
It was very hard.
It was hard.
Because right after that, like you said, Veterans Day, then Thanksgiving was just right there.
Right there.
And everything was still so fresh. And even after that.
Yeah.
The following
Christmas,
year.
You know, and so just know that we are praying for you. We love you too. Yeah. But please just know that the Lewises are praying for you during this time. And so we're going to jump right into the segment on today. We are so excited to have Tonya Reed and her daughter, Deandra Wyatt. They are joining us on today. We're going to bring them up. Hello. So I have known Tonya. I originally met Tonya years ago through my sister. And then Tonya and I fellowship together in church. Mm-hmm. So I've known her for so many years. And as I look through Tonya's life, she has experienced so much. Now, before I jump into what I'm about to say about Tonya, let me always say that our scripture that we do Testimony Tuesday by is Revelations 12. And we hone in on verse 11. And they overcame him by the blood of the Lamb and by the word of their testimony, and they loved not their lives unto death. And again, as we always say, it is so much power in the testimony. And so that is one of the reasons why, we do what we do. To hear other people's testimony, it makes you stronger in your own situation
Yes.
and helps you to be able to overcome. Because when I see that you overcame, then I
Yes.
feel like I can do it too, because God has no respect of person. So if he did it for you, he'll do it for me too.
Yeah, and
All right.
especially when God is involved, it has the potential to strengthen someone's faith.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. And so Tonya she is a mother. She's a widow, but she is a mother of 7, but she has 2 biological children that she birthed herself. She's a Mima of 6. She is the director of operations at Advantage Care, and she has been there for 17 years. She loves helping people. Serving is her heart. The intellectually delayed population, developmentally delayed population, is a population that she loves so, so, so much. But most of all, Tonya loves the Lord.
Yes.
Absolutely.
So we are super excited to have you on tonight. We want to jump right in, Tonya. So I often think about the story of Job, but I think about you, because at the beginning of the story of Job, it talks about how the servants came and they told him that one thing happened. And right after they told him that the first thing happened, then they come to him again to tell him that something else has happened. So I think the Sabians came and did something like to his livestock, camels or something like that. And then another messenger came, and he came to tell him, and each messenger would say, I alone survived, so I could tell you about it. So there were instances back to back that these things happened to Job. And then the last one was the one where they came to tell him that his children had died.
Mm-hmm.
So when I look at your life, it has been back to back to back loss. And so I want you to take us to June 18th, Father's Day of 2016. No, I'm sorry, 2006.
Mm-hmm.
So we're going to start there, and you just share your story.
Okay, June 18th of 2006. As you say, it was Father's Day. The day before, my dad wasn't feeling well. So we talked him into going to the hospital. And when he got to the hospital, I noticed like a yellow tint like on him and on his eyes, had looked like they had started turning yellow and those types of things. So they were running tests. But, I thought that he was going to be okay. Hey, we're going to figure it out. We're going to go home in a few minutes. Well, a few minutes turned into hours. Hours turned into code blue. And code blue was to Daddy's room. He had stopped breathing. So they had went in there and tried to resuscitate him. And they brought him back. And we found out that he had a mass on his liver. And the mass had erupted and began to bleed. And they couldn't stop the bleeding. So everywhere he had an opening, he was bleeding. So he was bleeding from his eyes, his ears, his nose, his mouth. He was bleeding from all of those different types of places. And I was there. Kenneth was away. I remember Kenneth was selling real estate, and him and Tracy was on a cruise. And they were away, and we had to get the Red Cross to bring Kenneth back. And I'm just there, and I'm thinking, Daddy, you can't leave. You can't leave me. You gotta stay here. I'm your baby. You all I got, and you gotta stay here. Mind you, I'm grown and have 2 children, but I was a daddy's girl. So the bleeding wouldn't stop, as I said. And the next day was that Sunday, which was Father's Day. And they called me up and said that his organs were shutting down. What did I want to do? Because at this point, he was on the ventilator. What did I want to do? So I went there and I cried and I laid on him and I told him how good of a daddy he was to me and Kenneth and how he had taken care of us. And if he had to go, we was going to be all right. And I was going to take care of mama. And not 10 minutes after that, he took his last breath. So.
Wow. Man, I used to work with Buster, and we had a pretty good connection. We were able to talk and we laugh and stuff, and but
Right.
the other guys' conversation was a little different.
Right.
Yeah, yeah, yep. But I did. I missed him a lot.
Right.
Yeah, actually, when the job shut down and everything.
Right.
Yeah.
Wow. Wow. So that was unexpected.
Exactly. He was here one day and he actually left the next day. So
Jesus.
yes, that was unexpected. So
And
that
then,
really did something to me. I was really in a dark place because I was daddy's girl and I didn't know what to do. And I had to take her mom because mama at that time, because mom had just got diagnosed with Alzheimer's. And she kept looking for
wow.
dad. And she kept saying, telling the doctors to make him all right. And he gonna be all right. And I had to keep reassuring her that he was, but he
Right.
wasn't.
Right. Mm.
Yeah.
Take us to November of 2007.
November the 17th, 2007. My sister-in-law, Tracy, um, was the best sister-in-law in the world. And she one day, she again was sick. And Kenneth went to church. She didn't want to go to church that Sunday. And Kenneth went to church and came back and he found her on the floor. And when he found her on the floor, she had passed away that
Wow.
Sunday, leaving my nieces and nephews behind. Taylor, the oldest, was just graduating, about to graduate from high school. And then it was Cameron and then the twins. So everybody was still pretty much still in school and still teenagers at that time. So I had to take the responsibility of not only being their aunt, but being their mom as well. So that's how I continued to have 7 children, but only birthing 2 because they became mine. I had to make sure that they got to school, even though they were in Arizona. I had to make sure that they had what they needed because their daddy was grieving too at that same time because he had lost a spouse. So they became my children as well.
Wow.
Yeah. So.
Wow. All right.
Not even halfway there.
Right.
Not even halfway there.
No.
So let's go to November.
November 29th, 2015. My best friend in the whole wide world, she left me. My mama was my best friend. She was. I could tell mama anything. Mama had Alzheimer's and she may have had it about 5 years. And she stayed with me for the first 2 years until she started getting sundown. And that's when you would stay up all night. She would be up all night and want to sleep all day. And at that time, I had Didi and Vont was in school. So it was hard on me to be up all night and then work all day with her. So that was very hard for me to transition her to a facility and leave her there. I think I felt like she passed away that first time I left her because I cried so bad when I had to leave her there for somebody else to take care of. But she stayed in that nursing home for probably another 4 or 5 years. And she just continued to decline. And at that last year, she began to get sick. She began to aspirate. She began to of course, she didn't know who I was, but when Didi would walk in the room, she would call Didi me. So I knew that she knew that I was still around, and that was good enough for me. But losing my mama was different. Like I said, she was my best friend, but I had seen her walk through the stages of life. So I had a comfort. I had a peace about that she was, she had went and she was now with the Lord. So I had a peace about that because she had ran a race that was well. So even though I missed her and still miss her, I was okay. I was okay with the fact that she was gone because she had done well.
Wow. That is, Lord knows, she could cook so well.
Yes, 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 yes,
Woo! So yes, yes, yes,
yes.
yes. Wow. That's a lot.
It is. It is.
It's more.
It's more. Yeah. June 23rd, 2016, my brother Donald, that we have found out through he was searching for my daddy, and we found out that we had a sibling, and we had knew him probably about 5 years, and he drove long distance truck just like my daddy did. So
Wow.
he was at work one day, and I was at work one day, and everybody came to the job, and I'm like, well, why everybody coming to this job looking at me? Dee Dee, Tommy, and Vaughn, they were all coming to the job. So I was like, well, maybe we're going out to dinner or what, we about to do something. And I was just standing there, and I was like, well, what is going on? And they was like, they called and they told us, they said that Donald had an accident. I said, okay then. So I get up and I say, well, what hospital he at? And they was like, Mom, we can't go to the hospital. And I was like, well, why we can't go to the hospital? He had an accident. Let's go to the hospital. And he had an accident while driving the truck, and he passed away. So that left me again with a niece and a nephew, two nieces and a nephew without a dad, without a parent.
Wow.
So that was something else that I had to deal with, losing a sibling. Losing a sibling is different. I didn't know him all of my life, but we had got close enough that he was my sibling, and it was painful to lose him. Very painful to lose him.
Wow. Wow. That is hard.
It
He
is.
comes into your life and he's there for a short period of time. You all build this relationship and then he's gone.
And then he's gone. Yep.
October
Hmm.
2018.
October the 18th, 2018. I was in I was at work. Actually, we had took the guys to the beach, and we were in Virginia. I think it was Virginia. We were in Virginia. And the thing of it, Ayana and June, Tommy was supposed to go on the trip, and I was supposed to stay at home. But some happened at the end of it, and he stayed to work, so I went in his place. So we were there with the guys. We take the guys every year to this big, beautiful house. We be on the beach. They just have fun, and Janice just cooks. We just have a good time. So we were there doing that same thing. And that year, Previs went with us, and the phone rang. And I think it may have been Janice's phone that rang first. And someone said that it was in an accident, and he had one of the clients with him. Again, I'm thinking, okay, let me talk to him. Where he at? So then my phone rang, and they said that Tom had been in an accident. I said, we're on the way. Purpose was going to take me back. It was a 3-hour drive. And they said that, I said, is he alive? That's the one question I asked. I said, is he alive? And I'll never forget, it was a sheriff that I knew. What was his name, dude? I can't remember his name, but it was a sheriff that I knew, and he said, Miss Tonya, yes, we brought him back.
Sean Brown.
Sean Brown, yes. He said, yes, Miss Tonya, we brought him back. And I said, okay. So in my mind, I'm thinking, okay, God, they brought him back. You going whatever's going on with him, I'm going to take care of him. Whatever needs to be done, I'm his wife. I'll do it. I'll bathe him. I'll feed him. I'll dress him. I'll do whatever it is for that needs to be done. Just let him live, Lord. That was just my prayer the whole time. And as we drove that 3-hour drive, as Purpose brought me down that highway, that was my only prayer. I remember calling my children to tell them to get to the hospital. And I told them, I had them identify people. I said, your Uncle Ron. I said, Tracy and Kelly, my cousins and people that I knew. I said, stay focused on them. I said, don't allow what you see to dictate to what you know. Don't go in that room and your daddy be down and you guys break down. Don't let him see you guys break down. Be strong. Remember, don't let him see you break down. And I kept saying that to them. And I called Ron and I said, well, whatever you're doing, I need you to stop doing it because I need you to go with my children. I said, whatever Uncle Ron says, then that's what y'all do. Whatever Previs say, then that's what y'all do. Whatever the doctor say, if Uncle Ron and Previs take you by the hand and pray, that's what y'all do because we believe in God. I understand that they have to do their job, but we believe in God for the final outcome. So by the time they were at Marab Perm, so by the time I got to Marab Perm, they had life flighted him to Duke Regional. So I leave there and then I go to Duke Regional. And when I get to Duke Regional, everybody is there. And of course, they're waiting on me. So I had Vaunt in the meantime FaceTiming so I could see his face. And I had Vaunt to put the phone down to his ear so he would know that I'm coming and everything is going to be all right. I know you might not understand what's going on right now, but I'm coming and everything is going to be all right. So when I got there to the hospital, the doctor, they take you in that room. And he took me in the room and he told me everything that I did not want to hear about he had, when he was out too long. And the part of the brain that would tell you to wake up is not working. And the brain does not repair itself. So he was pretty much not giving me any hope, but he was saying there's another test that they could do. And with that test that they could see if it was anything that what else they could do to try to help him. So I said, okay. So that night, the kids and I stayed at the hospital. They ran the test. And then the next day, they said that he was brain dead. And pretty much whenever I'm ready to take him off, I could take him off. And I can't even tell you in words what that did to me. It wasn't even like a kick in the stomach. It was breathtaking. Yeah. The pain, the everything. You know how people say 20 years flash before you? My life just began to flash before me because all I kept saying was, God, we had got to the good part. God, we had got children grown. God, we had got grandbabies. God, we still liked each other after the children had left. We eating cornflakes. We watching cartoons. God, you're taking my best friend. How am I supposed to live without him? How am I supposed to carry on? What am I supposed to do when you taking him? One of the best things I had is gone. It's going away. That was the hardest goodbye I could ever say. It was the hardest goodbye I ever wanted to say. So Apostle Terry, and I don't know if Pastor Fanta went in, but we went to the back. And all I could do, Ayana, was cry. I laid on him and I cried and I cried. And I told him that I didn't understand why. I don't understand why you have to leave me. I don't understand why this is happening. But I'm going to trust God in the midst of it. And yes. I'm going to take care of these children. And these grandchildren are always going to know who Papa is. You're always going to live as long as we live. So then I went out and I gave other people time because he had a mama. He said his mother is still alive. He had siblings that are still alive. And they needed to say their final goodbyes to him. And once they said their final goodbyes, I believe we all went back into the room. And they began to take it off. And I was like, God, you're going to come on through. I'm still believing. Miracle signs and wonders. Come on, God. Come on. Yeah. I'm just still believing you're going to do it. You're going to do it. And the more they took off, the less I could hear him. The more they took off, the less I could hear him. And when they finally took that last thing off and I could see his chest go up, but not go, when his chest went down and not went back up, all I could do was cry. All I could do was cry because I didn't know what I was going to do. I didn't know what I was going to do. I didn't know how to change oil. I didn't know how to do anything of that nature. I didn't cut grass. I didn't go to the mailbox. I didn't do any of that stuff. And now I had to figure it out. And people say that you don't something. like don't say you don't die, but October 2018, the person that Tonya was died.
Yes.
I died. And I'll never be that person again. I'll
Mhm.
never think that way that again. I'll never live that way again. I'll never do anything again because I was connected to Tommy. And he left us. And I'll forever be changed. But not for the worse, but for the better. So
Yes.
we left there and we went home and we we dealt with what we had to deal with. And again, that was the hardest thing I've ever to do, to see your children suffer and be in pain, and see your grandchildren want to know why Papa had to leave so soon. And it's nothing I could do. I couldn't heal them. I couldn't fix it. Mama couldn't fix it. Me, Ma couldn't fix it. I couldn't fix it. It was one thing I could not fix because God had made a decision and it was final.
Wow.
Yep.
Wow.
So
Wow. Ah, Jesus. Wow.
yeah.
I I have no words.
Mm, mm, mm.
I saw you during that time, Tanya, and I'm telling you, you were just, I felt like you were busy,
Of
like you were
course.
doing stuff, keep your mind occupied and, just, just to, but I did see strength, the strength of the Lord. He
Right.
was, I could tell he was keeping you and holding you. And all
My
right.
support team was amazing during that time and still is amazing, but they were amazing. Trace and Kelly, I would never forget. One would sleep on an air mattress and one would sleep behind me. Weeks and weeks after, I was like, y'all got to go home to y'all husband. Y'all not going to have a husband at the end of this. But they did not leave me. My leaders, Apostle and Pastor Fanta, Apostle Carr. Apostle Carr was a tangible person to me that said, okay, you go, it's another side to this. Even though I was just in the beginning stage, she had me walk through that thing called grief and losing your husband and
She
still at an early age.
she understood that part of
Yes,
it. She
yes,
knew what it was like.
she did. And she encouraged me. I mean, because I was 45 when I
Right.
lost time. I was 45. So,
Mm.
yeah.
It doesn't stop.
It doesn't stop.
I
I know, Deandra. Oh.
So this is the part. October 2nd, 2020. Kenneth. The Sunday before. We always eat dinner at Kay's house, my cousin Kay. We always was eating Sunday dinner there. And it was just a normal Sunday. We would always eat Sunday dinner there. We laugh and joke. We would talk about A to Z at Kay's house. It was just wonderful. It was just our family time. It was just something our parents did because they were close knit brothers and sisters, and it looked like we just picked it up and we did that. So that Sunday was no different. And the next day, they called me at work and said, Kenneth passed out. I said, okay. But Kenneth was a diabetic. So I'm just thinking maybe his sugar level had went down. So
Now tell the people, for those who don't know, who Kenneth is.
Kenneth is my
and then when he came,
okay, right.
a short period of time.
Yes. Kenneth is my oldest brother. And the thing of it was Kenneth lived in Phoenix, Arizona ever since Kenneth graduated from high school. When he left high school, he went to Phoenix. When he went to Arizona at 18, and he never came back until 5 months before he died. He came back to live with me 5 months before he died. He said it was COVID. COVID had just lifted up a little bit. He wanted to have a new start. Tonya, can I come live with you? Of course you can. He was my brother. So he came about 5 months. He was living with us. We would argue just like siblings, the whole nine. I wanted him to leave. He wanted me to leave. Telling me to shut up and try to run stuff. And he was just being who he was. So he came back and we sort of rekindle where we stopped. Or when you get grown, you do your own thing and you don't talk as much sometimes or have that time. But we got that time back. We got that time back. We talked, we would cook together, we would laugh together, we would go to the mall. We got that time back. And like I said, that Sunday dinner, and then that next day, they told me that he had passed out. So Purvis was at the house when he passed out. And Purvis, from what they told me, Purvis ran downstairs and started doing CPR on him because he wasn't breathing when Purvis got downstairs. So I'm coming from Henderson. Me and Vaughn was coming from Henderson from work. And when I got home, the ambulance was still there. And I'm like, well, why they still here in Sugarloaf? What they doing? In my mind, I done pasted all this together. What they doing? So when they wouldn't let me in the house. That was the first thing. And I was like, oh no, not today.
Right.
They wouldn't let me in the house. And it was like, man, you can't come in right now. They're still working on them. And I'm like, what do you mean working on them? Because it took me 30 minutes to get home. Why y'all still working on them? So by this time I'm going off. So Bob was like, Mom, you got to calm down. This ain't going to help. And I'm like, well, why they still working on them? Get them out of here. So eventually they brought him out, and I could see the machine still working on him, trying to resuscitate him. The machine was still pumping. There's a little machine they placed on his chest, and they were still trying to resuscitate him. And at that time, I bust out crying. I started, I'll take out running in a minute. You know that, y'all.
Yes.
I started running, speaking in tongues, saying, God, you got to do it. You got to do it. He all I got. God, you got to do it. So he went to the hospital, and then they tested him and tried to figure out what happened. Why did he stop breathing? Just what? And again, they could not figure it out. But he had stayed under too long, and he was brain dead.
Wow.
And he was brain dead. And at that time, I never forget sitting in the car, and I called Ron. I called Ron Bay. And I said, I feel like Job. For the first time, I said, I feel like Job. I said, I don't understand. I said, but one thing I'm going to grab hold is, though he slay me, yet I'm going to continue to trust him. Because I didn't know what else to do. At that point, I was alone. Everybody had passed away. My mama, my daddy, my two brothers, my husband. I didn't have anybody left besides my children. Everybody I grew up with, everybody that I was born into the house with, they were gone. And I didn't know what to do.
Wow. Wow.
Yep.
Jesus.
Yep.
Jesus. And so I wish I could say it stopped there.
It does not stop there. Kenneth died in October, and in February of the next year, a cousin of mine's, like a sister, she passed away from COVID, and that was Moot, Lori Crawley. And that, it ripped everything. It ripped the core almost of me. Moot was so loving and kind and walking peace and love and just wanted everybody to get along. And she reminded me so much of my mama. And she was just so filled with love, even though she had her own battles with cancer and the things that she was going through. She always had an encouraging word. She always reminded us of how good and awesome God was, and how Daddy God, Big Daddy, something she would call God. She just would continue to remind us of how good he was and is, and no matter what, he was gonna come through. And I was just outdone. That I just felt like he didn't come through. Wow. I just felt like he did not come through, and I was just sad, and I was crushed at the fact that again, some children, even though Caleb and Tonya were grown, they were going to have to walk around without a mama, and she had grandchildren that were going to have to walk around, and Nana was no longer going to be here.
Right.
It just saddened me in a whole nother way. And to see my family, Kay and Previs and Ron, to lose a sibling, and Brian, it was just heartbreaking to me. So,
Wow.
yep.
And then,
And then at the end of the year last year, he was Kay's husband, my cousin, but Earl passed away. He passed away. He fought a fight of cancer, and he passed away. And that reminded me, it pulled off a scab of Tommy trying to
right,
help Kay, because I could see, I could see in her eyes the same thing that was in my eyes. I could see her pain. I could see, well, what I'm gonna do now. I could see that look, or how I don't know where to go from here. I could see all of that in Kay when she lost Earl. And I could see that, I could see the hurt and pain in Michaela and Dartez, the same hurt that Dee Dee and Vaughn had, because the daddy gone. And what they're gonna do now? Because they had some good daddies, and their daddies were there for them. Their daddies were encouragers. And now that their daddy's gone, what now? So I saw all of that, and I had to get myself together because I refused to go back. I refused to be taken back on something that should not have, that I felt like I couldn't be sidetracked. That's what I'm gonna say. I couldn't be sidetracked from that. I was in there to help Kay, to do whatever needed to be done to help her, and Dartez and Michaela, because we're family. And we stand together, and we do things together. And though I had all these losses, they always walked me through every loss I had. I didn't have to turn a corner and they were not there. I didn't have to I didn't have to do anything that they were not there. They were always there. So I had to be there for them as well, and push, my feelings aside for that time to be there for them.
wow, wow, Tanya.
Yes.
And so, what I say to this, because again, I'm gonna go back because I had to pull it up because it is truly in the scriptures. I'm gonna read this, and then I'm coming back to you. It says, "And there came a messenger unto Job and said, The oxen were plowing, and the asses feeding beside them, and the Sabians fell upon the earth and took them away. Yea, they have slain the servants with the edge of the sword, and I, no, it says, and I only am escaped alone to tell thee. While he was yet speaking, there came another and said that the fire of God has fallen from heaven and have burnt up the sheep and the servants and consumed them, and I only am escaped alone to thee. While he was yet speaking, there came also another and said, The Chaldeans made it out 3 bands and fell upon the camels and have carried away, yea, and have slain the servants with the sword of the Lord, and will have slain the servants with the sword, and I only am escaped alone to tell thee. While he was yet speaking, there came also another
Come
and
on.
said, Thy sons and thy daughters were eating and drinking wine in their eldest brother's house. And behold, there came a great wind from the wilderness and smote the four corners of the house, and it fell upon the young men, and they are dead. And I only am escaped alone to tell thee. Then the Bible says, Then Job arose, rent his mantle, and shaved his head, and fell upon the ground and worshiped, and said, Naked I came out of my
My
mother's womb, and naked shall I return thither. The Lord gave, and the Lord
Yes.
had taken away. Blessed be the name of the Lord. Woo!
Yes, Lord.
And so when I listen to your story, I am so reminded of this because before you can literally catch your breath,
Mhm.
here comes another.
Right.
Before you can even breathe again and exhale, here comes another. Before you can exhale again. So it's just one behind the other. And so when I look at you, I do see that moment where naked I came in, naked I go thither. but blessed be the name of the Lord. And
Absolutely.
so when I look at you, you have not lost your praise. You have not cursed God and died.
Mhm.
You lost your mind.
You have, say that one again, honey.
You have not lost your
That's
mind.
right. June, yes. That part. Woo!
That
That part.
Yeah.
Deandra, I have to ask you, when you look at your mother and you know her story, you know all that she has been through, what have you learned from her?
Um, her strength, and I mean, honestly, that God's a keeper, because just through the death of my dad was, I felt like enough to just like take her out. Because those were some dark days.
Mhm.
I mean, they were dark days. And
Mhm.
so that
Yes,
alone, I just felt like if he didn't keep us that far, then he'll continue to keep us. But you gotta be
absolutely.
wanting to be, you gotta be wanting to be kept.
Come on here.
Right.
Ah. Yeah.
That
That
part.
part.
Yeah.
That part. Tell it,
You know,
D.
I love that you said that, because I often say he'll keep you if you want to be kept.
Mhm.
Yep.
And that
Gotta
is
be
the
wanting
truth.
to kept.
That is.
Wow. Wow. Tanya.
Yes.
So through all of this, he's done it for you. Talk about him. Tell what we obviously see,
Right.
but talk about the keeper.
Through all of this, he has kept me when I didn't want to be kept. So I don't want anybody to think that I was just running through daisies through all these 8 people who passed away, because as Deandra said, it was some dark days. Um I remember at the time he passed away, I probably didn't eat the first 45 days that Tommy passed away. They would ask me, did I eat? And I would say yes. But I didn't eat anything. I might have ate a grape or ate an apple or something. And one day I fell out at work. And then
Wow.
everybody knew that I didn't eat. So there were dark days. But as Deandra said, if you want to be kept, he'll keep you. So I had to make a decision. I had to make a choice. And every day that I get up from this point on, even now, I make a choice and a decision to get up. I make a choice and a decision to move forward. Every day is not a good day, but he keeps me. And he keeps, and the thing of it is, I always ask him to keep my mind. My mind. I could not lose my mind. My children and my grandchildren could not have another tragedy come forth because of me. Because the weight of grief, the weight of grief is is unexplainable. You
It
can
is.
allow it to consume you, or you can speak to it. And I
Come
chose
on.
to speak to it. I
Yes.
chose to say, okay, the world says that yes, you can be sad, but today I'm not. The world says that yes, because you're in a bad mood, you can cuss this person out, but today I'm not. So I
Yes.
did the opposite of what the world said that I should do, because I knew that God was greater. And then when I came to realize, Ayana, that it was a purpose behind all of this pain, and it was a purpose behind everything that I went through. My mind shifted, my thoughts shifted, and now the purpose is to help someone else. The purpose
Yes.
now is to see that pain and that hurt and say, it's okay, it's gonna be all right, but God's gonna bring you through. And I know now my purpose is to help somebody else. I had to go
Wow.
through in
Yes.
order to help somebody else. So having a support group is amazing, but you got to know them for yourself. These walks
Yes.
I walked with these deaths, I had to know him for myself. As much as Ron and Previs and Kay and Trace and Kelly and May May and everybody wanted to help me and be there for me, at night I went home by myself. At night
Right.
I had to sleep in that bed by myself, and I cried. And I had to know him for myself. I had to give everything I had to him, or I would have lost my mind. I had to totally surrender to him and say, God, if you don't do this, I don't know
Yes.
what I'm gonna do. If you don't take this heaviness and this weight off of me, I'm gonna lose my mind. because I didn't understand it. But now I trust the process, even when I
Yes.
don't understand it. Even when I
Yes.
track him, I still trust him. So
Yes.
all of those things I do, and it's just a daily thing that I do because and Apostle Carr had gave me some scriptures, and it was Second Peter, and I might not say it all right, and I apologize before, but it says, "After you have suffered a while, He will perfect you, will establish you, He will strengthen you,
Yes.
He will settle you.
Yeah.
He has begun to
Yes.
perfect those things that concerneth me. He has begun
Yes.
to establish me. He has already strengthened me."
Yes.
He's just doing it. I'm settled. I'm settled in my mind and I'm settled in my spirit that even things come now, it can't sway me because God has brought me through too much to sway me whether He gonna do it or not. So I'm at the
Come
point now, if
on.
He do it, it's okay. If He don't, it's okay because it don't sway me about who He is.
Right.
It don't sway me about that. He is who He say He is. He is the great I am. He is the bearer back. He is the one that bears my burden. He's my keeper. He's my deliverer. He's
Yes.
everything I need. And I can't be swayed from that anymore. So life can come as it may, but I can't be swayed anymore.
Come on, Tonya. You
I can't be
look,
swayed
I can
anymore.
hold myself down because I get real excited, honey.
Absolutely. So people get mad at me sometimes when, and the kids do too. They'll say, "Hey, Ma, good morning, Ma," and they say, "How you doing?" I say, "All is well," because all is well. And when all ain't well, He gonna make it well. So
Yes.
all will always be well, and I'm always gonna be amazing. I'm
Yes.
always going to be amazing. No matter what, I'm going to be amazing because I've come too far. When you've been in a dark place, Ayana, and you wanted to sit there and you wanted to have your chips, your candy, and everything, and you wanted to live there, and God said, "Not so," and He brought you from that dark place into a light, you can never be the same.
Woo.
So all gonna always be well.
All gonna always
Always
be
be well. It
Wow.
is.
So Tanya, you more than you more than qualify to be able to encourage somebody right now. So there may be somebody, and actually there is somebody we may not know, but I guarantee you, it's somebody somewhere that's feeling that pain of whoever they may have lost that was close to them, and you just cover such a wide span of close tight knit relationships. Encourage somebody right now that might be going through some of those emotions.
The first thing I want to say is to talk about it, because again, Tommy was the I guess the worst experience of death that I had. I had to get counseling. I had to talk to somebody else besides my church leaders because I was angry. I was mad. I was sad. So it's okay to get counseling. It's okay to talk to somebody and talk about the person or the people or whoever has passed away. It's okay to talk about them because I felt like if I held it in, I was going to be strong, but I was killing myself for holding it in. So talk to somebody and trust somebody with what you're saying. Don't just talk to anybody. Trust somebody that what you're talking about, and have some good support people. If you don't know nobody, inbox me. I'll talk to you. But have somebody that's going to be there for you at 2:00 in the morning. Have somebody that's
Yes.
going to be there for you when you want to talk and when you want to cry, or when you just want to sit there. I remember Moot used to just hold my hand. I didn't know what to say. I was so empty and so drained inside. She would just hold my hand. But the mere presence of some people is all that you need. So
Right.
but most of all, grab hold to God. Grab hold, if it ain't but
Yes.
one scripture, grab hold to that one scripture and keep saying it to yourself. Keep encouraging yourself, no matter what it looks like. He coming through. He coming
Yes,
through.
He is.
And what He wants to do is clean you from the inside out. That's why I'm always amazing. That's why I'm always cheerful, because He cleaned me up from the inside out. I'll never be the same again. And I'm okay with that because I'm better. I'm wiser
Yes.
and I'm stronger. So hold
Yes.
on to God. Hold on to Him. He's not going to fail you.
Wow.
I love it.
Yeah.
I love it.
Very good.
There is
Well said.
I said this, or I may have said it up here, but in Job 42:5, it says, I have heard of thee by the hearing of the ear, but now mine eyes seeth thee. And I'm telling you, that scripture to me, like and I've said it before, like you may have heard of who God was,
Right.
but it was at this point that Job was literally able to see God
Right.
for who he was. And so I believe through all of this, through all of this hardship, through all of this loss, you have now been able to say, not that you just hear him by the hearing of the ear,
Right.
but you know him because you've seen him do it.
Right.
You can literally testify because you saw him do it for you.
Right.
And that is to me such an amazing place to be.
Yep.
Because I want to know him like that.
Right.
You know, a lot of times we say God is our healer. And like I said before, if you've never been sick, you don't know God to be a healer. And so I'm grateful to know him in this place.
Right.
I'm glad that I got to see him in this place. Go ahead, Tonya.
One thing, I've never lost a beat, even though I lost the income. Tommy's whole income went away when he went away. But God still kept me. I just never lost a beat of anything, Ayana. I didn't lose anything. I increased. And I knew at times when I needed something the most, sometimes his friends would come by and leave money in the mailbox for me. Or somebody that he knew would come and just cut my grass. They would just do something, make sure my oil was changed. God was always showing up, always reminding me, I'm going to keep you if you want to be kept. I'm going to be your provider if you let me be if you rest in me, I'm going to do what I need to do for you. And every time he did it, y'all, he did it. We weren't hungry. We weren't nothing. We were nothing. And we are, and I'm not saying we just good. And life just got better and better. It just got better and better. And it was God. Because Thomas' whole income was gone, mind you. I mean, I didn't get anything. I'm not old enough to get a pension or anything from him.
Right.
So everything that I had was based upon, all our bills were now based upon what I was making. But me and Thomas was dividing that. But now I'm able to cover that on my own.
Look at God.
Look at him.
To God be the glory.
Exactly. Absolutely. So yes.
Wow.
It's such a powerful testimony, and it just encourages me, and for anybody out there who has suffered loss, and you're dealing with this right now, you're going to make it. Like that's the end all be all. You're going to make it. If God did it for Tonya, he is no respecter for you too. He's done it for us. He keeps doing it for all of us. Like he's doing it for us. And that is what we testify of today, the goodness of the Lord. Tonya.
Wow. Look, y'all, I'm gonna say this last thing. I never forget, and this is how real that I want people to know that I am. For the whole first year that Tommy passed away, every morning I wake up, I say, you still waking me up. You mean you're going to make me walk through this? You still waking me up, God. Why you keep waking me up? I didn't want to wake up. But look at me now. He knew that he could trust me with it. He knew at the end that I was not going to give myself no glory, but give him all of the glory. Because he was the one who kept me. He was the lifter of my head. He was the bridge over troubled waters. He was everything that I needed, Ayana. He knew that. Even when I didn't want to do it. So,
wow. I think that it's good that you brought that out, Tonya, because someone needs to know it ain't always easy.
It's not.
And you might not want to get up, but so to look at, where you were and where you are now, it is all God.
Yeah.
It's all God.
So I think it's in order to say that the sooner that people are able to accept what God allowed, God didn't do it. God didn't do it. But when we're able to accept what God allowed, then we're able to progressively move forward and allow God to be our strength.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. Because I was thinking the same thing, June. How can he break my heart, but still me at the same time? How can he take away but
Right.
still provide for me at the same time? What kind of God is that?
Right.
A loving God, a just God.
Yes.
He's sovereign.
Yeah.
He's still sovereign
Right.
because he came
Right.
in my house and he took Tommy. He could have took all of us, but he came and he took Tommy and he still, he said, I'm going to take him, but I'm going to still take care of you. And I'm going to still take care of your children.
Ooh, wee.
That's what he said, and that's what he's doing.
Yeah.
Deandra,
Won't he will?
your mama is something else. And you know, I often say God's arithmetics is so different because he adds by subtracting and he multiplies by dividing.
Exactly. And just like Kenneth, he brought Kenneth home enough to get us to a place.
Yes.
And I didn't have to wonder where he was or what he was doing or wonder did he love me or I loved him. I knew when they put that dirt and they closed that casket, I knew what me and Kenneth had. And nothing could separate that. He loved me and I loved him.
Absolutely.
And that's all that matters.
Absolutely.
So he gave us time.
Yeah.
Even though it broke my heart to walk away and see my brother in that grave, it broke my heart to this day. It broke my heart, but I have no regrets.
Yes.
I have no regrets.
God is so strategic in his
He
doing.
is.
He is so strategic, even all the way down to the point of your other sibling.
Right.
You had time to form a connection. And God is just so amazing.
Yes.
He is. God is so amazing.
To God be the glory.
Yes.
Yes.
What a story.
Didi, you hanging in there, girl.
I'm hanging.
She gonna be like her mom when she grow up.
That's right.
All right
That's
then.
right.
Yeah.
And thank you. What's the scripture, Jim? The one that talks about it was in your grandma.
And your grandma Lois.
Yeah, when I call to remembrance the unfeigned faith that is in thee, which dwelt first in thy grandmother Lois, thy mother Eunice, and I am persuaded that in thee also.
Yes,
It's in you too, Didi.
Yeah, you're gonna be all right.
Is it your grandma Lois? Is it your grandma Tonya? And it's in you too.
Yes, yes,
Yes,
yes.
sir.
I love it.
And shout out to Vaughn. Shout out to Vaughn.
Yes.
You've been commenting ever since we got on here. What's up, boy?
We love you.
Yes.
Tanya, thank you so much. Thank you for sharing your story.
Yes.
It is so powerful. And I pray that others are able to hear this and see this because somewhere they can find themselves in your story.
Absolutely.
Somebody's lost a father, a mother, a brother, a cousin, you know, so from siblings to family members, in-laws, somebody has lost.
Yeah.
And they're wondering how they're going to make it through this holiday season, through the next year, the next day, the next moment. Listen to this story because if he did it for Tonya, he'll do it for you.
Absolutely.
Guys, join us again next Tuesday. We are super excited. We have another special guest that will be joining us. Ask that you join us. Thank you so much for watching on tonight. We love you all. Tonya, Deandra, thank you for sharing your story. So powerful.
You're welcome.
Good
We love y'all.
Have a happy Thanksgiving and remember to tell God thank you.
Yes.
Yes, sir.
Yes, we love y'all. Thank you.
Love you too.
Tonya, you have to go back and read the comments too. I have to say that. So go back and read the comments because they have been talking about you tonight.
Okay. Thank you.
All right.